My name is Gavin Evans, and this is my review of the movie Random Acts of Violence. And this movie had my curiosity because it's directed by Jay Baruchel, who's mostly known for being a comedic actor. I mostly know him for voicing Hiccup in the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. Those are just some of my favorite movies. I love them. And he also directed The Secret to Goon, which wasn't as good as The Force to Goon, but it was still an okay movie. I was curious to see what he would bring to the horror genre, and unfortunately he doesn't do a good job here. This movie does have an interesting color scheme, but man, this movie is just so heavy-handed. It's trying to talk about how the culture celebrates the serial killers and not the victims, and I get what it's going for. In fact, it's impossible not to get what they're going for because the movie beats you over the head with it time and time again. It's like, I get it. This movie just feels like, I'm sure there were other pieces of dialogue in this movie, but everything I remember that the characters talked about had to do with those ideas directly. And after a while, I'm just like, got it, I got it, you can stop saying it. And the movie just never cued in on that. It just doubled down, and after a while, it was just annoying. I didn't think it had anything interesting to say about it. It wasn't subtle at all. It lacked any nuance, and it's just so heavy-handed that it just drove me nuts. And not only that, the main characters in this movie are supposed to be best friends, but all they ever seem to talk about is, oh, so you're inspired by real-life killings. That doesn't make you a good person. At no point do I actually buy that these people are friends. There's no moments where they're just joking around, having a good time. They're just always talking about what the movie is about. So these characters don't feel like real people. They just feel like vessels to deliver the dialogue that they wrote on the script, and in that they just completely failed. This movie also takes itself way too seriously. My favorite aspect of slasher movies is just when they're dumb fun, when you can just watch them and have a fun time with them. But this movie just treats itself so seriously. Like I said, there's no humor, and I'm just like, my goodness, like, there's just no fun to be had with this movie. This movie does have some bloody moments, but nothing that's going to stay with me. There was one moment that really annoyed me. It's when they're in their vehicle just watching this guy shoot this family, and they're just sitting there watching him do it. They're not trying to stop him. They're not driving away. They're just watching him kill these people. And then once he's done killing them, he goes after them, and they're like, oh, now we have to go! And, I just found it to be so dumb. Maybe he was trying to be like, oh, they're the audience. They're just watching these people get killed. And if that's what he was going for, people sitting in a vehicle watching people get killed in front of them isn't even remotely similar to us watching people get killed in fictional movies on a big screen. So if that's what they were going for, they definitely didn't succeed in it. The cast in this movie does a fine job. Like, they're not great, but it's not their fault that this movie is as bad as it is. There's one casting choice that took me out of it, and it's the main character. I was watching the movie, and he looked white the entire movie. But then, near the end, we get flashbacks of him as a kid, and the person who plays him as a kid is a black kid. And I'm just like, wait, is he supposed to be him? And he was, and I looked it up, and I guess the main character, his dad is African American, and I'm just like, oh, really? But they still didn't look remotely similar, in my opinion. I just watched it, I'm just like, yeah, those do not look like the same person. So that took me out of it. But that all aside, this movie isn't scary. It doesn't do anything that it's trying to do in effective manners. It's an hour and 20 minutes long, and it bored me to no end. There's just nothing that this movie does have to offer. There are some interesting ideas. There's an interesting color scheme, but that's all I can say that this movie has to offer. So I'm going to go ahead and give Random Acts of Violence a 3 out of 10. Okay, did you see Random Acts of Violence? Did you consider this movie to be a random act of violence, or did you consider it to be a random act of kindness? Let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you like, make sure you comment, make sure you subscribe. Stay tuned for some more videos soon, and Gavin out.